Thank you, Victoria. I want to say just a few things before I get to the meat of the recognition stuff. There are a number of reasons why I've become interested in Axel Honneth's work. I studied with Jack in the late 70s, and both of us studied Habermas together. I did my thesis on Habermas, and I've since edited a book on Habermas and education by Routledge, published by Routledge, and I've done some work for the Teachers College Record, looking at the work of Habermas. So I was quite interested in that topic. And one of the things I tried to do in that work is to critique, is to deal with the criticism that there isn't a social dimension to Jack's theory of perspective transformation. And realizing that I was very lucky that studying Habermas lasted me as a topic all of my academic life, except that Honneth has come along as the third generation of critical theorists to spoil the party. But what a wonderful addition he has been. So if the theory of perspective transformation or transformation theory is based so solidly on the critical theory of Habermas, then there's a real onus on those of us who are interested in that particular aspect of the topic to wonder what happens to the theory of perspective transformation when we look at the third generation of critical theorists. There are two reasons. The third reason that I've got involved in this topic has to do with something that you mentioned. You see, being critically reflexive of your assumptions is a big ask. You have to be up early in the morning to do critical reflection. It doesn't come easy or naturally. So, having said that, I'm always uncomfortable with teachers who want to make me critical. It ain't easy. And another reason, I've been involved in a European-wide program in 7 countries, looking, a little bit like Jack did in the 70s, at what happens to non-traditional students when they go back to university. And in the search for sensitizing concepts, I discovered Honneth. We'll get back to that. Another reason, transformation theory is a living theory. And if it's living, what it means is that it's open, alive, active, open to empirical scrutiny and theoretical critique and development. So as a living theory, I want to keep doing that. I should also, because this is to recognize Jack and Edie's legacy, I'm reminded that Hillary Clinton is probably announcing her candidacy today. Is that right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All the better. I remember walking down Broadway, and you'll know what year it might have been, because I can't remember. But I couldn't. Hillary Clinton was going for some election in New York. Was it the Senate? You will see, you do know. I was not allowed to pass a collection box to support Hillary Clinton's campaign. Jack insisted, and for once Edie agreed. And she did not say, Jack, you can't do that. I think that Jack and Edie's moral compass was focused very clearly in the direction of social justice. And on that day, I well remember that Hillary Clinton was probably as far left politically as Jack would go, and it was probably as far right as I would go. We spent a lot of time in those years discussing whether he would make me a humanist or I would make him a socialist. And just if these are introductory comments, and I think they're appropriate, I should also say that as a foreign student in this college, it was a wonderful place to be. All of your alumni who come from other countries come from countries who have much more limited opportunities. To come here and to work with Maxine Green, Dwayne Hubner, Hope Leiter, John Broughton, Philip Phoenix. Have I missed anybody? This was a wonderful experience, and I appreciate that. Yes. That's fine. What is Honneth on about? You will recall from your studies of Habermas that Habermas gave to critical theory a linguistic or a communicative turn. He said basically that the pathology in our society, this is my socialist stuff, the pathology in our capitalist society is one of distorted communication. And what Hanneth has done is he said the pathology in our society is one of disrespect. So it's of distortions in the way we recognize people. And Hanneth has spent a good deal of his time mapping out what he means by that struggle for recognition that he finds in people. And now, though Hanneth doesn't say this, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to think that maybe he has said it somewhere, or he will say it. The struggle for recognition and respect is a lifelong task. It's a lifelong task for infants who need to be acknowledged and respected by their parents, by their teachers, by their family, and by their community. And in that recognition, they grow. Without it, they don't. We know this from people like Winnicott and Bowlby and so on. However, because it's a lifelong task, we also know that in our society, we can be either respected or disrespected by the laws that give us rights to education, to health care, to dole, to social welfare, and all sorts of things that give disabled people rights and so on. And not only do we achieve this recognition or not in the legal framework or in the legal context, we also find that work is either a wonderful place for receiving recognition or for being disrespected. And it's because of this moment or it's the importance of this struggle for recognition that we begin to wonder, well, is this a way of looking again at that critical reflection that's so difficult to achieve? And what I'm suggesting is, yes, that this has important implications for the theory of transformative learning. The only thing I really want to say about Hanneth in wrapping up this section is to say that we are social individuals, and only as social individuals can we take up a critical stance. Social justice depends on intersubjectivity. I'm going to skip the piece on the empirical confirmations through a European research project, and simply to say that there is an inbuilt social dimension in the theory of transformative learning, and the pursuit of our identity and the recognition issue come together in that. Yes, anyone who wants to teach for perspective transformation or teach people to engage in a transformative learning process, we would do well to focus not only on the importance of critical reflection in that activity, but also to look at what it means to recognize people. Because what we find in our research, not only I, but Jack also, we find that when people go back to school, they're looking to recover and reclaim and recover from periods of misrecognition by society, by their community, by their experience of education. And in that process, they look to learning, they look to education to achieve that moment of recognition, which is profoundly developmental.
Yes?